Hi, today I want to show you one additional object in free Pascal, and this is the listbox. Listboxes are typically used for listing items for selection. So if you have a list of options where you want to select one or more items, then you can use the listbox for this. So here on this form, I prepared a list box with a label above it and an edit text to show which item is selected from the list box. So let's see how this works. So when you run the application and you did not initialize anything else in the list box, just the items herein, then nothing is selected. And currently, the list box is set up for only a single selection mode. It worth to mention that beside the single selection mode, you have the possibility to uh, to select more lines at the same time, or even select a range of items. But currently, just look on the option when one item is selected. So whenever you select an item, then the selection event is triggered, and then you can basically react on this selection. So if you go to the properties window and you check the listbox on selection change function or procedure, this is already set up. So once I'm clicking into the form uh, and selecting an item, then it is already triggering this selection mode, and then basically it can be used for further processing. So here I think we can also select something. So basically, if you use the control button and you want to deselect an item, then with the control button you can do it, and you can see that if nothing is selected, that the selection index of the list box become -1. So this is basically showing that nothing is selected. So just to look into the code, um, we have this list box selection change procedure set up. So basically, when we were clicking into here in this three dots button, then it's generating this procedure, and then you can start to put in some uh, code to process the activities what you want to do. So what I'm doing here is that I have this edit text box where I'm setting the text value to the listbox get selected text. And also there is another thing, the item index which is selected. So you can get these two things together. So whatever you want to use, either the text which is in the selection itself, so what you selected in the list box, or you can get the item index with a number, and then of course you can get the text on another way. So basically, if I would write here edit text, and I'm just taking the items because the items are strings, I can get the item at the selected index. But of course, we should only do this if the selected item index is not -1. Otherwise, of course, we would get we would get an error message. So now if I'm marking this out and use the other line, okay, let's start it again. Basically this will do the same thing. Of course, I was just adding here the text and I was not adding the selected index, so that's why the text itself is different. But this is the way how you can basically find the items from the list box, and you can get the selected ones. Okay, next thing what we should mention is that we have an option here, multi-select. So if we click it to true, then the behavior uh, of the list box is changing. So let's mark this out and use the original one. So let's see how it works. So when I'm running the application, then I can select an item. If I'm just selecting items like this, then basically the behavior doesn't seem to be different. But if I'm using the control button, then I can select multiple items. And as you can see, in this case, the selected text becomes a little bit weird. So you will have these three items all in one text. So maybe you don't want to have this like this. I mean, typically you are not just showing that what is selected as text, but you want to further processing these. So how you can basically check which items are selected within a list box, you need uh, to to basically uh, check each individual items from the list box. And here I created a very small code portion here. So I just defined a string list, and I'm adding to the string list the items which are selected. So in the for statement, I'm going through from 0 till the end of the items and checking if within the list box the this individual item is selected or not. And if it is selected, then I'm adding it to the selection or selected list variable. So let's stop the application at the end of this section, and let's run it. So whenever I click on an item, now you can see that I already got this running, and in the selected list I have one item already. So if I'm going further, so let's continue, and then I'm selecting another one. So now I should have two items, and as you can see, we have two items here. And you can also see here that what is inside. So here is the first item, and there is the second item. Okay, let's continue here. Go back, and let's select the third item. Oh, okay, something is wrong here. Okay, so we continued. Okay, so we have the two items selected, and now I should select this out. Okay, now we will have only one item again. So you can see that we only have one item here. And let's continue. And select the third item. And now you can see that the first and the third item is selected. So basically with this solution, you can go through all of the items from the application or from the list box, and you can do whatever you want with the selection. Few things what can be also interesting when you are setting up your list box. There can be cases when you might have so many items in the list that you can't see all of them. So if you might have this situation and you are running your application, oops. So in this case, you have so many items that not all of them are visible, and you might have the case that maybe number 10 should be the one which was already selected before, or it's marked as an option, and then you would like to basically scroll to this item. So how you can do that is that when you are setting up your form and the form is created, so let's go to the event that we activate this form, and then we are, let's say, so when the form is activated, we should go to this top item, or this index where what we would like to show. So let's set this top index to 9, because that's the element 10, uh, and let's check how it works. And you can see that the item 10 came into the visible state, but of course we cannot scroll more up, so we can't see it at the top of the list, but somewhere in middle. If we would be selecting maybe the number 5, then it would be on the top. So let's test it with the number 5, and you see that this will be the first item in the list box. If you want to make this item selected, then you can go to the list box and change the variable selected at the index to true, and this should make the element selected. So as you can see, it's already selected. However, as you can see, we don't have a selection at the moment because we were not clicking on this item. So if I'm clicking on this item, then it's saying that this item is selected. So you want to make sure that you are not reading the selected item just like that from simply using the Listbox item index value, but you go back and you check all the selected items, or if you change this one, then you can check it back again with the same variable and same array variable. So we should also mention that if you would like to have your elements sorted, then you can use the sorting function of the tailist box. But it makes sense to mention that, of course, this is a very simple sorting function, so it will not take care about um, if you for example sorting numbers, and then you have the numbers from 1 till, I don't know, 100, then you might have a really weird sorting result. So if we click on the sorted false or sorted true, and we run it, then the elements should be sorted. And as you can see that now the sorting is a bit weird, because we have the 10, 11, 12 at the beginning, and just after that we have the first item, second item, and so on. So basically this sorting is very simply just really going to sort the elements on a very simple way. So it will not take care about the length of the text or the length of the numbers. I mean, if we would have here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 100, then this would be really sorted on a wrong way. So the 11 could come after the 100. So let's check this out. So let's add to the items the 100 somewhere at the end maybe, and then maybe 1,000, and you will see that the sorting will be again something very strange. So you can see that the items are sorted like that the second character is a 0, and here the second character is a 1. So you can't really rely on this sorting option. If you want to sort your items, you should consider that which one is or how you can sort it on a way that it is really looks like a uh, sorted element list. Okay, so as a next step, I was adding an edit field to the form and an add new button. And with this, I want to show how you can add some elements to the list box. So I already changed some of the code here, and actually here you can see that when I'm clicking on the add button, then taking the listbox items, I can insert an item to a position where I basically want. So currently in this one, I was adding as a first item to the list the text which is entered in the edit box. So let's check how this is working. So when I was clicking on the or when I'm typing in an element, let's say new element, and I'm adding it to the list, then this will appear at the first item. And as I'm not moving here to the first item after this addition, it was not moving to there. But if I would add this positioning thing, what we mentioned at the beginning um, of this training, then I can go directly to the top index at 0. So let's check it again just for fun. And then when I'm clicking on it, it should show the first element. So now it's clear that I was adding it. If I would adding this element to maybe to the 11th item, let's go there as well, just to see that where it was added. Okay, adding it, and you see that it goes down in the element list to that element which where it was inserted. Of course, if you just want to add it to the list, it is even more. So if I'm just using the add item function of the list box, that's also possible. Add item here, of course, we don't need the index, but we have an additional object what we could be able to add it to the list item, but we tell that it's a nil. So with this one, if I'm running it, then and I'm adding the new element, then this will be the last element of the list box. Okay, the same way you can delete elements as well, but of course, when you delete something, you should tell to the list box that at which index you want to delete the item. So I'm not going into this right now, but you can imagine that how it works. Okay, so that's all what I wanted to show you about list boxes and play around and have fun with it. And if you liked my tutorial, then don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.